this love is the crucified love. So when this happens, Jesus remains just a remnant of the past, the cardinal said, because we instinctively place 20 centuries between ourselves and him. So what is your relationship? What is your friendship with Jesus? What is that like? What does that look like? Is it what you want it to be? Is it what you hope it to be? Or are you satisfied? Am I satisfied with what it is right now? Seriously, this is where much of our Catholic culture is today. So as we internalize the spirit of the gospel, which comes from a persistent and personal friendship with Jesus as a person, not a personality, leading us to share his sentiments and his attitude, he will lead us to come to know our deepest identity. And we will wholeheartedly surrender to accepting his mission fully in this apostolic age in which we find ourselves. You know, this gospel passage this morning from St. John is part of the Last Supper discourse. So Jesus is spending these last hours with his disciples before his upcoming crucifixion. What is he doing? He's preparing them for mission. He's preparing them for this sending out into the world to proclaim the gospel. He had just washed their feet, thus giving them an example, and us, an example of discipleship. In the verses preceding today's reading, Jesus gave his disciples his peace. And now he is inviting them into a covenantal relationship. Like your marriage is a covenantal relationship. Through this new commandment of love, a love meant to prepare them for the mission of taking the gospel out into the world that would result in persecution and rejection for the sake of his name. When was the last time you and I were rejected by someone in the world because we were proclaiming his name? So like them, like those early disciples, Jesus is inviting you and me into this relationship, into this friendship of trust, into this relationship of love, one that will fill them with joy, his joy, even though it will entail suffering. You know, friends spend time with each other on a regular basis, do they not? Right? Jesus invites us into these daily encounters as well. How often would Jesus say to you or to me, "Where have you been? I have missed you. I have called you friends because I have told you everything I've heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, it is I who chose you. I chose you to go and bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask in my name, he will give it to you." Faith is our response to a God who reveals himself and gives himself to us, helping us, aiding each one of us to find the ultimate meaning of our lives. These beautiful words, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. The question is, do we take Jesus at his word? Whatever you ask, do we take Jesus at his word or not? Do we believe that he will do what he says he will do? This is why we need conversion. Because conversion leads us from this lack of confidence and distrust to a genuine faith and an absolute trust that our fulfillment in life rests only in Jesus and his love for us. In other words, this unshakable confidence in the Lordship of Jesus. How many of you have this unshakable confidence in the Lordship of Jesus? You know, many Christians, many Catholics do not have this unshakable confidence in the Lordship of Jesus. Are you anxious about things that you can't control? I was with some priests really recently in my diocese, and one of them, vulnerable as he was vulnerable enough to reveal that one of his challenges was the fear of failing. Many people live in this type of fear. It's very common and prevalent today. When we have this fear of failing, we won't step out in faith and confidence. Why do Christians live in fear? Why do the disciples of Jesus live in fear? If you're presently living in any fear, ask yourself the question, why? What does fear do? But it turns us away from God. It distances us from God. We turn our back on God in distrust. Because fear is a form of distrust and leads to a loss of this inner peace that Jesus wants to give to us. He says, my peace I give to you. The most common strategies of the enemy in his effort is to distance you and me from God, whatever that might be, however long that might be, or to slow our spiritual progress in an attempt to take away that interior peace that Jesus offers us. So the enemy wants to banish peace from our heart. He wants us to live in fear. Because he knows that God abides in peace. And it is in peace that God accomplishes great things through us. So I'm preaching to myself. Conversion is necessary. Conversion must be seen as God's gift to us and then to be received with open hearts, right? With an open spirit. We should ask for that, right? We should plead for that. We should beg, Lord, convert my heart. Lord Jesus, convert our hearts. You know, Jesus promised to be with us always. This promise is what led the disciples to bring the gospel into the world and to lay down their lives for Jesus, their master. Their own conversion led them to a lively faith and an absolute trust, whereby they fearlessly proclaimed to all the joy of the resurrection. This Pentecost event in their life gave them this unshakable confidence in the lordship of Jesus, this unshakable confidence in the power of his name. My dear friends, our friendship with Jesus, fostered daily through prayer and the sacraments, will bring out the best in us, our truest selves, and will make us a better person, a more faithful person, a more trusting person. We'll come to know his love more deeply, and then when that happens, we'll do this for him. Go home and write on your mirrors, Lord Jesus, I choose you today and your friendship, and all that comes with it. Lord Jesus, I choose you today and your friendship, and all that comes with it. So perhaps, friends, as we approach this altar this morning to receive the very food that sustains us, we might ask Jesus to open our hearts more deeply, more widely to the friendship he desires with us. This friendship he desires with us. And then to give us unshakable confidence in him. Because, my dear friends, this is the resurrection.